Hello, everybody. Just want to thank everybody for joining this webinar hosted by Rio SEO. Creating a winning local search strategy for Google's 2021 core updates. There's been a lot of things going on throughout the industry, not even local, but across the board. And really enjoy having our panel on here as well. But just as a reminder, I want to go through a few kind of housekeeping items, as you know. So there is some great ways to think about this is, we like to keep our webinars, conversational, use the Q&A, use all of the resources within this kind of Zoom webinar, so which is kind of the new normal for all of us today, being on camera and so forth. But as well as that is you can always send questions, use that Q&A panel or button within the Zoom webinar portal itself, making sure that we will answer as many as we can, right? So there might be a flood of questions. We want to make sure as we have these industry experts on call in this particular instance, get those answered for you and share their knowledge. On top of that is follow us on Twitter. We're going to live tweet this. It is at Rio_SEO. And then you can also use the hashtag Rio webinar. Make it super simple for you. As well as that is we're going to also send out, so look from our marketing team as far as an email with the live recording. So if you missed it, can't join, have to hop off early, not a problem. We totally understand that, but there will be a recording at the end of that. So to kick this off, really want to talk about the basis of this discussion today is, Google came out with a bunch of updates, right? 2 back-to-back core updates. There's been a little influx within there as well, as far as how fast they roll out through June and July. But then on top of that is, even back to the page experience update as well. So they're often noticeable directly within, maybe search traffic, search ranking, how we look at local businesses as how they're changing or their influx within their kind of rankings or even presence is being affected. And that's what we're going to cover today. They also offered up the MUM update, right? Which is going to really deliver more relevant search results as Google gets smarter, even though we know they're very smart, is for those complex queries, right? That can be long tail, can be very conversational with voice search, everything like that. So we want to see how that actually plays in. On top of that is within the other updates, we've assembled this panel, which I'm very proud to be a part of as the moderator, to really talk through, Google My Business. We have Google My Business experts on the phone. So that's why I really stress that Q&A is you have the right people at the table right now to really answer those questions. On top of that is we're really going to break down how marketers can actually solidify some local marketing objectives. What does that look like? What does that look like for the future, the short term, the near term, everything with COVID, things like that that really make a benefit or an impact on all of your businesses, large or small. So to introduce myself, my name is Tyler Ludwig. I've been with Rio SEO for the last 10 plus years. I'm the Director of Enterprise Solutions. I will be the moderator for this panel itself, kind of fielding questions, asking questions to our esteemed panel as well. But joining me today is Joy Hawkins. I've known her for quite some time. Industry leader within the local search space. She's the owner of Sterling Sky Incorporated. And then also Zeke. I'm going to go Zeke Thomas, just because I don't want to butcher his name. But on top of that is he is an SEO strategist at Media Hub. So great resource on here as well. And then to kind of round that out is Amanda Tento. Hopefully I said that right. Which is she is a Google My Business expert, as well as an educator. So that gives a lot of breadth to kind of what we're going to talk about today. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Let's start off or kick off with Joy, if you just want to introduce yourself, if you will.
Sure. Yeah, I've been in this space since 2006, so quite a while. My agency specifically deals with local SEO. Most of our clients are small businesses. Some are multi-location, some are single location. We have a lot in the home services space, realtors and lawyers specifically that we work with. And yeah, anything to do with Google, like PPC, SEO, all of that.
Great. Thanks, Joy. And then Amanda, I'm going to go ladies first with, sorry, Zeke.
Thank you. I own TDM Marketing, and we are a Google My Business agency. We focus specifically on helping local businesses to get into that top 3 in the local pack through different, optimization and management strategies. And we also are making it our mission to educate everyone on the importance of Google My Business and actually using it and managing it on an ongoing basis and not just creating and leaving it. So that's definitely our mission.
Perfect. Thanks, Amanda. Zeke, it's all you.
Thanks. My name is Zeke Thomas. I work for Media Hub. I've been with the agency for a number of years. I want to say about 4. I work in and manage over a couple of thousand listings in regards to local SEO, ranging from the hospitality industry. Yeah, I feel like I'm in great company considering what I do every day. So I have my hands on a multitude of listings where I manage them and coordinate with local listing owners in regards to optimizing their website.
Great. Perfect. Thank you all. And once again, we appreciate you for hopping on this on a Tuesday morning. Some are a little bit later in the day. I'm jealous. But let's start off today's conversation. So when it comes to the June and July court updates, which happen several times a year, right? It could be even looking at some of Google's, they have, thousands of updates per year, depending on which industry or kind of vertical, I guess you could say. So as well as the algorithms, Danny Sullivan, public liaison for Google Search, says that there's been updates that can, produce some noticeable changes, right? We've seen that, I'm sure you've seen that with some of your clients as well. But they also typically see these, either by people or, ordinary users, right? So there's kind of the tech side, webmaster, SEO professionals, directors of marketing, but then there's also kind of the consumer side of that as well. So when I think about that is, Zeke, I'll go to you first, can you discuss kind of the focus of the June, July core updates and what changes most brands can expect to see within their rankings?
Sure. In regards to the most recent algorithm updates, we tend to see that there was a focus on content, specifically thing content and revolving around your money, your life related sites. So these are websites that are offering any kind of advice on sensitive topics relating to finance, law, purchases, any kind of recommendations or reviews, anything that has or pertains to health and education. So we expect to see pretty much Google laying their hands a bit more heavily on in that area and in that regards. We have also seen a page experience update that's rolling out, I believe should be completed in August, but that's pretty much, Google having a focus on the core experience in regards to page loading and seeing how we can best optimize, to get the best response and the best reaction when we interact and engage with sites.
Yeah, and I would ask a question right there, and everybody can chime in too, is for page loading, that's been a problem for however long, right? The last 5-6 years, right? Have you seen a lot of, maybe clients that you work with or others that, maybe it's caching mechanisms or, I know there's a lot of JavaScript updates, right? That you can lazy load, things like that. Do you have any, suggestions you could say for that?
In regards to page enhancing the page experience, just for based off the Core Web Vitals report, there are a lot of opportunities. Specifically, what I've found, particularly with my clients, images have been notoriously not optimized. So usually when that time came around when we needed to make recommendations, our focus was, for the most part, trying to triage any of the lower hanging fruits based off of the platform's capabilities of handling it. So This includes ensuring that there's a definitive height and width attributed to the image, ensuring that the images are compressed images that are following the right format, utilizing and ensuring that JavaScript is being fully used, and if not, removing it. Taking accounting of your resources that are being utilized. So this includes like third-party tools that are impacting the site as well. And so, we pretty much did a wholehearted audit in regards to that and make recommendations based off of what we found are, approachable elements that they can help start triaging now before the, update rolls out.
Great, thanks, Zeke. And then Joy, coming at you now. So with these core updates, primarily impacting, some organic rankings, obviously there's going to be the local search factor within there as well. Have you seen a significant impact on the local rankings as well, like near me, store near me, store, close by, things like that?
Yeah, these last two had pretty tremendous impacts on the local results. And it's interesting because I think Google publicly says that they shouldn't, but we see that they do almost every time. But I have to say these two specifically, we saw more of an impact than I've seen in a long time, like years. So we had several clients that had massive differences, good ones. So that's always good. But yeah, usually we do see at least a minor impact, but this one was large on the local results.
And do you see it bouncing back at all? Not yet. I mean, it's probably a little too early to tell since we're still in July,
Sure.
Of course. But yeah, hopefully that will bounce back, and maybe it just comes to smarter structure of pages and things like that. If you agree.
Yeah, we saw the ones that had increases in June had more increases in July.
Okay.
And it almost seems to happen like the core updates. It's clients where we're doing a whole bunch of really good quality related strategy. We're big on quality over quantity, so we're not one of those agencies that's you need a blog post every week. And we usually do the opposite. We're taking down their blog posts and consolidating them and removing tons of pages off their site. And normally what we end up seeing is we'll do that for several months and then a core update will happen and we see these giant increases. So it's kind of it's catching up on all the stuff you've been working on in the last 6 months.
Great. Yeah, I think it always comes down to it evolves so often, so frequently that you kind of have to switch gears. And I think that's where most of the clients I talk to is you have to be nimble, right? As far as being able to make those changes. And to that point, Amanda, I would ask you is, if this is going to impact your business, your traffic, your lead conversions, or just conversion funnel, what steps would you suggest to really kind of get them back on track, right, at the end of the day?
Yeah, definitely. Joy alluded to kind of the answer to that question already in that content, making sure that your content is relevant, that you're not just creating content to create content, and that you're really researching those keywords, because with those updates, those recent updates, they're really looking for those to answer those specific long tail keyword questions that the user has. So they're not super simple searches. They're trying to elevate those searches and really give the right content for those searches to the user. So making sure that your content is tailored around those keywords that your audience is searching for, and just making sure that everything on your website, like Zeke said, is, technically sound as well.
Yeah, there's that checklist, right? It's
Right.
Okay, not a bunch of code, not too many JavaScript calls, all that kind of stuff within there, right? I'm talking techie because that's how I go. But yeah, make it run fast. If you were a user, that's how I always do it. One question that did come in, and I'll throw this over to you, Zeke, real quick, is, should I host larger videos on YouTube? And then, how you can embed videos within your website. They asked, would that be the best practice at the end of the day? And I would say yes, because then it's just delivered, which YouTube is owned by Google, right? So we have that kind of synchronicity within there. Do you have any thoughts on that, or just, yes, you should probably upload them to YouTube and use the embed?
I think if you want that video to, propagate even further, right? You have a video, why not spread it as well? It's one of the best mediums that spreads content out there when it comes to YouTube. So I would definitely say yes in that regards. And I would ensure that the video is optimized for YouTube as well. Making sure that you have the information, the relevant information, anything that pertains to the show more area, anything ensuring that you have your desired titles and headers and any kind of relevant information that's utilized in YouTube optimization. Whenever you're looking to go into another platform and promote any kind of content, it comes with its own set of SEO related rules to a certain degree. And so it's just making sure that you follow best practice in regards to promoting your video on YouTube. I do believe that the algorithm does promote or lean towards more 15-minute related videos, but that's just surface knowledge. I'm sure that there's other things that culminate in regards to surfacing desirable content. So it's just a matter of just doing the legwork in regards to looking into YouTube.
Perfect. Okay, so kind of the next piece, joy. When we talk about what verticals are being impacted the most, where do you see that fit? Because I know it could be all over the place.
Yeah. So quick note about me, like we do SEO for businesses, and I'm really like deep in the weeds on the specific businesses I work on, but I'm definitely not monitoring thousands of websites. So I don't have a high level view of what industries were impacted, but taking a sample of the clients that I work on that I'm like, I know everything that's going on about these guys and what strategies we're utilizing. The two verticals that we saw really giant positive changes in, one was HVAC, and the other one was a personal injury lawyer. And both are, say the lawyer, probably more really competitive industries where it is really tough to get ranked, especially in the organic section. So it was really exciting to see that the strategies that we were using are ones that work. And I have kind of strong opinions on link building strategies. I know my link building team is very adamant about quality over quantity. And I think that really, really paid off with these last two updates.
Yeah, I think if anybody else wants to chime in there, yeah, I think the quality versus quantity has always been kind of the biggest issue with link building. It's tough, it's hard, it's an expensive business as well, right? We get that, but it does pay off, in these long-term updates. So kind of next topic is really around the EAT methodology. Right. So in August 2018, we're talking about, for how many marketers, or, how can we do this EAT methodology, right? Which is basically expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, right? And it's important for all queries, right? We get that. We want the most relevant results as well. So Joy, I'll circle back to you real quick. Is, for this one, how does that methodology kind of fit within those core updates, particularly for, financial services, healthcare, and others? What do you see there?
I think it's just Google is getting better at surfacing like who should actually rank for things. So, for example, we have a criminal lawyer that we do some consulting with, and they got hit, not this recent update, but one last year, quite heavily. But it was like the pages that were getting hit were things about drugs and things about specific crimes and stuff that people commit. But like the searches that they were ranking for, they probably shouldn't have been ranking for. Like Google should be ranking like a medical or a .gov site or something that's a little more authoritative, even though the lawyer does know quite a bit. So it wasn't at all surprising. Like we often see when we look, especially for lawyers, when they have these drops, it's like their blogs and it's articles that maybe they are an expert in, sort of, but there's other fields that would maybe be more a better fit to be ranking. So it's not ever shocking where I'm like, oh, why did this happen?
Right. Anybody else have any insight on that?
Yeah, just to Joy's point, I think this latest algorithm update is holding to task, right, to these certain sites, these your money, your life related sites. And so when we're talking about, you're breaking down the letters, when you're producing content, just how qualified are you to produce that content, right? Are you an expert really, or do you just know surface information? Authority, when it comes to authority, how well known is your website? How great of an authority are you in that search space? And in regards to that, your peers in regards to that too. And then you'd also want to take under consideration, right, if whether or not, if you're either fully transparent in providing like who's writing the content, if you're fully transparent about having enough contact information, if that content piece isn't yours, and then it pulls up that same cycle as to just how authoritative is the person that you're citing, right? So it's just a matter of calling the task for certain sites that that if you don't, you may be led astray. So I'm totally on board when it comes to the most recent algorithm update in that regard. So yeah, that's pretty much it though.
Amanda, do you have anything? Or
I definitely think it adds to the relevance of whatever you're producing, and it just gives Google those extra signals of this person is an expert in that field and they know what they're talking about. I encourage our clients all the time, even in just something as simple as a Google My Business description, to make sure that they're focusing on those things that have that relevance and that authoritativeness, as opposed to just the fluff of like, hey, I've been in business since, like that kind of thing. So just making sure that they have that in there is important.
perfect. And that leads me to the kind of the next topic, which is perfect segue. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, everybody. Is really so. Doing this a long time, we found at Rio SEO as well as working with others is unique, relevant content, right? Is and local is funneling up to the top, which is kind of now everything's localized because they know your IP, they know where you're at, and so forth. Where they want to get you to the quickest destination. I'm on a straight line versus a squirrely line, right? Simple way to explain it. So with that. We look at content, how it can drive rankings, reduce bounce rates, which plays into the technical SEO as well as the ongoing SEO, as we know. But Amanda, it's kind of the question I just asked you is, what content play in improving the user experience, or what role does that play for the user experience and improve ranking? And I think you mentioned that, it's contextual, it's FAQs have been huge, or answering questions before somebody even has to ask it, right? Versus play the game of let me dig around on your website and try and find it. I guess I would say what are your top key factors, even though you kind of answered that already?
Yeah, definitely, just making sure that everything is completely filled out. But I'm speaking to Google My Business in this
Right.
case, but making sure that everything is completely filled out. You're giving absolutely every bit of information that you can to that person that's looking at your listing, because if you do that, then you're kind of pleasing Google, because Google doesn't want them to leave Google. So if they can just find their answer on your listing, or find whatever information they need, whether it be your phone number, your website, all of those things, your hours, any of that information, but just making sure that you have all of that information in there. And again, any types of products, services, anything that you can list in there is going to allow them to have that information at a glance, as opposed to, really making a lot of effort to find it.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I think that's even staying on top of it, either on there or within the GMB dashboard is highly critical, with suggested updates, Q&A. We've seen that a lot. Is people can influence your business, right? At the end of the day, hundreds of thousands of locations, or even just 10 or 1. People chatter across the board, and we want to make sure that the brand controls that. So that's definitely a great thing. And then Zeke, I'm going to toss this over to you. How do we prepare for future core updates? Right? From a website, large multi-location brand that could be 1,000 pages, could be 10,000 pages, right? It could be even by category. How do you prepare for that? Not to throw that one on you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So when it comes to that, and when you're going to prepare for anything, I think first and foremost is, and when we're thinking about multiple locations, is one, accuracy, especially when it comes to when you're talking about thousands of listings. You want to make sure that everything is accurate. I cannot say this enough, making sure that your information is accurate. In addition to this, you'll also want to make sure that every local SEO component is filled out. So to Amanda's point, ensuring everything is filled out, and this information is also updated on your citations as well. So if you have citations, ensuring that that's updated as well. You want to make sure, if you're looking to prepare, you want to make sure that all of your assets are optimized in the sense where, if you have a litany of images, make sure that they're optimized and title tag, or I'm sorry, alt text tag. If you're talking about videos, the same difference. Anything where your name is tied to it from a local perspective, you want to make sure that it's up to date. And you also want to update your content in the sense where if there's any changes in your localization, so the localization part of your content, meaning that you're making mentions, local mentions into your content, if that place is closed down, it's no longer relevant. So you want to make sure that that's up to date as well. Any changes to your map pin, any changes that may have happened to your business from a local perspective, you want to make sure that it translates to everything that your business is tied to. So going back to citations as well. Once you have that, that's pretty much it.
That's it. All right, set it and forget.
It's like the SEO button. Just press it and it's okay.
Push start. Okay. And so, moving on from that, so we kind of talked about the, kind of the core updates that are happening right now, rolling out. The next one is that MUM update, right? So should significantly improve kind of search queries, search results, how people find that data, which is always evolving. I'm sure there's going to be like 20 more throughout the year. But regarding this, want to kick it over to you, Amanda, again, is, how do you think the MUM update is actually going to affect GMB listings across, map info, search results, what's kind of the mix or blend there?
Yeah, so Google has been for a while pulling, keywords from reviews, from review responses, from your description or your post descriptions, all of these places Google is now pulling all of those keywords from. So I think really making sure that, because that MUM update focuses on those longer search terms and the keywords and things like that, in language, you want to make sure that you're putting those things in there and using them effectively in all of those places. So I think that's one really important aspect of it. And then the second part is the maps update. So they have been updating the hours and things. So for example, if you go to, like, you search somewhere locally, it's going to be more likely to display places that are open when you're searching, as opposed to, like, let's say you're planning to go to the bowling alley later. It's probably, going to display it a little differently during the 9 a.m. hour than the 9 p.m. hour, for example. So I think those searches, those search differences are going to take a little bit of effort on business owners' parts to really update their Google My Business listings and make sure that all of those things are accurate. Kind of going back to what Zeke said about that.
Yeah, and I think a good question that I hear a lot of times too is when you talk about kind of keywords coming out of reviews, right? Mm-hmm. That they're doing little snippets, it might be a beta, then it might be rolling live, things like that. Have you seen, I've seen it in some cases, but that almost puts more kind of influence on the kind of owner of the business or corporate, whatever, to respond to reviews in that particular case, right? Because a highly negative review, obviously they're not going to put curse words in the snippets and so forth. They're smart enough not to do that. But when it comes to the response from the owner, I think that's why reputation management comes into play as well, is making sure it's updated. They know it, right? It's coming from the brand voice. Do you agree with that point?
Oh, 100%. We encourage all of our clients to make sure that they're responding and not necessarily responding to that particular person, but making sure that you're responding as a brand and your brand voice, and making sure that you're also responding to potential customers who are seeing that negative review, judging you by your response and judging you by how you handle those situations, because that speaks volumes. I think I encountered a listing. It wasn't anybody that I know. It was just a random listing that I was looking for something in my personal life. And the owner responded like, it was somebody that like parked in a spot that they weren't supposed to. And they left a review for the owner and said he was so rude and he yelled at me. And then the owner responded and was like, well, if you didn't park in that spot, it was like this whole thing. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's not what you should be doing.
Take it
But,
offline. Take it offline.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a
Here's
little crazy.
our question box on the outside of our door.
Yeah.
And then Zeke, anything you want to touch on that with the MUM update, how it's rolling out, when do you expect it, any tips or anything like that on top of kind of what we already went through?
I'm excited for the MUM update. Just to add on to Amanda's input, I think we're getting closer and closer to that moment in the future where intuitive searches are becoming a thing. I mean, the complexity of this program is pretty intense. The goal here is for MUM to understand multiple languages across different platforms, capable of pulling information from different platforms, including audio, video, I believe PDF and HTML. So you have this one program designed to be thousands of times more powerful than your BERT. And in addition to that, service you in a unique way where it gets you to the desired search result by pulling all of this information at the same time. So it definitely puts us in a position where we should be excited for SEO in regards that we'll have a lot more work and optimization to do. And in addition to that, I think we're just getting better. The future itself always excites me. So seeing us becoming more and more acclimated to this new type of technology is going to be amazing. I'm simply excited for it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So if you want to talk about that too, we can lead right into it, with AI, right? How's it going to reshape SEO, right? Everything's connected. Everybody's looking through Google Lens. I got an update yesterday and it's like, now I can do all the Street View, and which used to be like a little guy over there. But now it's, with the Google Lens is great. So how do you see, AI will start reshaping that? Because we're about, 4 or 5 years into kind of a baby model.
Yeah,
we're getting into that toddler, mid-teen type. What do you think about that?
Well, to your analogy, we're still, wiping off the dribble. We're still in the toddler phase for sure. I think in regards to what I envision unique search opportunities for local listings, right? Where we have amenity related searches based off of, and you surface based off of the reviews of those amenities. I sincerely believe that's a possibility. I think that's almost in the works. Amanda, please correct me if I'm wrong, if we don't already have that. I believe that we're going to have an opportunity to rank for unique opportunities for SERP. So we'll be showing in unique ways. And so what behooves us really, again, I'm starting to sound a bit preachy, but we need to make sure that all of our assets and all of our information has the right contextual information so that we can qualify to surface in these unique queries. And so that includes ensuring that, taking a bit more time into optimizing your images, ensuring that your goals align with certain queries. So if you want to show yourself being fun, have a fun related picture, and then make sure that that's very optimized into your photo section. Try to own as much as your photo section as you can, right? So that you don't have third-party images that are not relevant to what you want to present, that's not aligned with your business. Though the removal process is a bit tenuous at best, just having those images removed and having those things optimized is going to take you in a long place. But I'm digressing though. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I sincerely believe that it will lead us to having a point of technology where the AI itself is more of a personalized item, more like your personal assistant, in the sense where it's responsive to the individual's search queries and online habits as well. I sincerely envision that being the future. I don't believe that mom is going to be the answer that leads us to that, but I believe that it will be the first toddler steps taking us there before we start running.
Yeah, we're basically working towards Guardian of the Galaxy 2, if
Yes.
anybody has seen it, at this point. Yeah, and I think you answered a lot of great questions, because there was a Q&A that came through as far as what should my image name for my local image be, or should I, all of that kind of stuff. And there's even back end things, when you use a camera, it does have, kind of geotagging and the metadata behind it. That's why I've always encouraged, like, if you can take a picture, a nice picture, in front of the business for each business, there is those kind of flags, or that you wouldn't necessarily think about, but there is like kind of a code tag to that at some point. So I think that's the long-term thing. It's not always easy for thousands of locations as well. And so kind of the next topic I want to talk about is really around the page experience. We talked about that a little bit before, technical, how fast you load, how do you consolidate a lot of your coding within there, which I think is kind of a long way, even in the past year or two, for most web developers that I've seen. But going into effect, and it does impact the search rankings. People talk about, AMP versus non-AMP. There's all those, kind of other algorithmic or, kind of structures that you can do to create those user signals back, right? Especially for locations, right? It's, schema markup, of course, different categories. Do you the FAQs? Are they localized? The business descriptions and so forth. But the on-page experience has always been, one of the primary goals of search, right? I don't want to go to a website and have to do 15 different clicks all over again when I wanted to go straight to the location page to get a coupon. That was it. So, Joy, since I've had you quiet over there for a little while, sorry, really want to start with you is, in marketers' minds, or how many for this update, how do you think the page experience update will impact their rankings?
This is probably gonna be an unpopular opinion, but I'm not expecting much, if any, impact to the type of businesses that we work with. I find usually when Google announces something and makes a big deal out of it, it's really lackluster, and it ends up not really being a big deal. So I think of like Mobilegeddon and how much that was hyped up, and then after it happened, we're like, okay. But then the ones that really do have an update, like have an impact that we see, are ones that Google barely talks about. So I usually do not get excited when Google talks about something and makes a big deal out of it, because I'm like, it's probably not going to be a big deal. And I know site speed, again, probably an unpopular opinion, is not something that we have seen had a major impact on rankings. Like minor, but like almost not noticeable. So
as long as it's not dragging. Yeah,
sure, absolutely. I think for the user experience, if your site doesn't load, that's a problem. But if it's like, you speed it up from 2 seconds to like 1.9, I've never seen anything measurable.
That is 1.1 second that you have for the rest of your day. Okay. Perfect. Amanda, any touches on that? Any recommendations?
I don't. I think Joy hit the nail on the head there. I focus mainly on Google My Business, and I will leave it to the on-page experts for that one.
All right, Zeke, you're up.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to have to side with Joy in this opinion. I believe that in regards to the page speed experience, it's going to be relevant when we're in a competitive landscape with relevant information being ranked, right? So to the person on the left of me has great information, the person on the right of me has great information, how fast is their page going to load? And then that might be the deciding factor that may put them ahead. But to your point though, I don't foresee it being, oh, you have a 13 on the page experience scoring and you're going to drop in ranking completely. That's not foreseeable at all. But at the same time, you want to, there's a lot of issues. When you go through a page speed experience report, you start seeing a lot of interrelated issues. So once you start triaging these issues, you'll start to see you do better. So it's always advised to at least put this on a back burner, type of project where you're going to start tackling and chipping away at certain things, but it's all in relevant to more of a competitive landscape. So like if this one site is doing better than me, but they have an atrocious page load speed, and we're working on that, then maybe that can thread the needle and put us in a better position.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to, I mean, at the end of the day, like today, it's who's your hosting provider, right? You know, that's really where it comes down. So if you think of page speed, page load, right? Do you have cache? Do you have disaster recovery? All of that should be part of that enterprise bundle, even at the, you know, 1-2 location type of business that runs a website. That should be pretty rudimentary at this state. So, and I think there's a lot of options. One thing I would ask you, Zeke, is, or anybody on the panel, is what's your favorite tool to measure that? I mean, I'm a console within the web browser type of guy, but have you guys seen any tools that a large brand that maybe can't get around this, you know, maybe needs to have, you know, kind of that look, you know, even that Google rolling out that new, you know, why were you ranking this, you know, about this search ranking that, you know, came out just, you know, a couple days ago or a day ago in their beta, I think is hugely powerful. Are you going to do it for 1,000 queries? You might need a team to do that. But, you know, why do I rank for, you know, auto repair in San Diego, right? At that end of the day. And I think that, you know, hopefully they open that up in the future for like an API type of readback as, okay, you're ranked because you're locally relevant, you have HTTPS, you're secure, and then all these other elements, they're kind of breaking it down. Anybody have any comments on that?
I'm going to have to ask you more about the product that you just mentioned. This is news to me. Definitely sounds exciting. I would definitely love to follow up with you on that. In regards to tools, I'm a stickler to the basics, you know, core web vitals for my page speed experience, ensuring that it provides a very comprehensive report. It gives you certain recommendations in regards to triaging certain issues. So I'm more leaning towards, you know, relying on that for my page speed experience report. I use a mobile friendly tester to ensure mobile friendliness. Google Search Console has that information as well. I use Search Console pretty much to help identify any kind of issues, longstanding issues in regards to site errors or what have you. So for the most part, it just depends on what the ask is, and I probably would have a tool for it. But ultimately, those are my go-to tools when I'm just looking at performance and I'm looking to impact page speed performance as well.
Great.
Our go-to for
Amanda?
technical, yeah, our go-to for technical would be Sitebulb. We use lots of other tools for other things, but if you're talking like things like page speed and stuff, I would say Sitebulb.
Great. And then I do have, so we've kind of gone through you kind of the core updates and everything that we were going to talk about today. I'll open it up to you three real quick. If you guys want to jump in, maybe something I didn't cover, didn't ask. Is there any you know, other things that, you know, large companies, small companies, whoever should be, you know, in front of outside of what we talked about today?
Just
I would say,
please go ahead.
Everything, just watch the recording. I love it. I did get one question, so we'll open it up to kind of the Q&A. There was a couple that came in that we answered throughout there, but you know, for Amanda, this one came in. Does the content of customer reviews, specifically GMB review content, impact rankings? I.e., can the verbiage within a review trigger your business? If so, would review responses from the business also have the same effect, which we basically kind of talked through. Do you want to get deeper on that, or you know, it's kind of the same of, you know, they'll pull the good content and, you know, relevant to that search query and populate it up there. And maybe it affects ranking. You would be the expert, not me.
yeah, definitely something that we've been seeing is Google is now detecting the positive language in reviews. So I'm not sure if you've seen that, but it'll say like professional, friendly, on time, those types of things. So it is definitely sensing that tone. And it's definitely, you know, easily displaying that for people to see and read on those reviews. So I would say, yes, if they're smart enough to pull out those types of, positive attributes of your reviews and mentioning those things, then yes, it would be very likely that they're going to be able to pull out those negative things. And if you have enough, I think if you have, one negative review and you're like 4.8 or something like that, that's not really going to super duper affect it. But if you're like all of your reviews are negative, then yeah, obviously that's going to definitely
Probably not going to
lend a little hand there. Yeah.
And then I'll ask, Joy as well as Amanda, Google posts, right? Google My Business posts. This question came in, how often should I do that? It kind of goes back to how often should I do a blog, kind of reel it back a little bit. You don't have to tweet every 5 seconds, things like that. What do you think or what results have you seen based on cadence of Google My Business posts? I think immediate things obviously are, with COVID, we have to shut down. That's a great way to utilize it. But what have you seen in the field as well for, kind of cadence within Google My Posts without being too kind of social in that case?
We just did a huge study on Google Posts that we published on our blog about a week ago. So on the Sterling Sky blog. And although I didn't touch on frequency, I touched on like what you should post about, what things perform better. As far as frequency, I would say like if you're a business type that has like specials, you want to post more frequently. So like restaurants, for example, like I'd be using the posting feature like crazy. But if you're like a lawyer, for example, honestly, like once a month is probably fine. The little snippets that come from posts that show up right in the local pack results, those last for, I think it's 86 days. I have it written down there, so I may be misremembering it, but I think it's 86 days. So at minimum, like one post every 86 days if you're looking to capitalize on that. And then if you're using like the regular type of post, it actually stays live now on your profile for 6 months. So I really say it depends on the business type. And if you have anything new to talk about, but the post should be like coupons and offers and things like that, not blog posts, not information, not like, here's the background on our CEO. Like nobody cares about that.
Some people might, investors, never know.
Yeah.
Amanda, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so we have a little bit of a different take on it in that the results we've seen for our clients and helping them get into that top 3 ranking, the more frequent those posts go up, the quicker they're able to get into that top 3. We've had people go from like page 6 on that Google My Business results listing, like the 20, and then you go more results. And then, on that 6th page, we've had them go up into the top 3 in about 6 weeks based on their posting cadence. So for our clients, we recommend about 3 posts per week. And we've seen really good results with that. And the main thing is, like Joy said, you don't want to just post like fluff. It's kind of what it kind of goes back to what you said earlier, Joy, about, making sure that content is relevant, but making sure that you're including those key search terms in that content. So if you want to post about something, just make sure that it's relevant to what people are actually searching about or searching, and not just posting a product or something and not really describing what that product is, not using the name of the product or any of those key search terms. I see that our clients, tend to do that before we start working with them, where they'll just post a product and say, this is such a great deal this month or something. And it's not really like, what is a great deal? Like Google has no idea what that great deal is. So that's a really important part. Going back to what Joy said about offers, we're seeing thousands of times more views on those offers and than on a regular Google post. So if you're posting a photo or something, or just a regular post, those offers are getting, like I said, like thousands of times more views than just a regular post. So I agree with the specials, the offers, any types of promotions that you have, that is definitely going to get you a lot more traction.
Right. Yeah. And I think localizing it, of course, if you can do it at scale, is making sure, in San Diego, I probably don't need a snowblower. But if I'm on the East Coast, I might. Not right now, but definitely at some point. So just to wrap this up, I thank all of you for your time taking it out of your day, and everybody that joined. Is maybe one soundbite. What's the next step? I'll lead off with Joy. I'll just go around the board clockwise, make it easy on me.
So I know we didn't touch on link building a lot, but obviously it's a huge part of SEO. So I would say if you are a business type that's relying heavily on like guest posting for your link building strategy, which is very popular for some reason, I would think twice on that strategy if you want to continue to do well with these core updates.
Great. Amanda?
I would say this is the one thing that we say all the time at TDM Marketing, and it's just to make sure that your listing is accurate, you're providing the most up-to-date information, making sure your links are there, they're correct, just optimizing your listing and giving all of those right signals to Google so that the way they can display your listing to those people that are really searching for it.
Zeke?
Wow. I don't know what else to say here. I think you guys covered it, but if I were to say a few things, right? I think ensuring that you have a great SEO foundation is first and foremost. You can't build on a broken foundation. So ensuring that your site is running functionally, ensuring that everything is accurate, everything is following best practices is a great way to start. And then ensuring that you have the right tools to do your research how people are looking into your site, how people are engaging with you, and that'll help you innovate for the future. So, have the great foundation for the house, and then start building the house based off of how the users are interacting with your site.
Great. Well, once again, can't thank you all, everybody that's attended, but then also our great panel. I really appreciate it. We appreciate it. You guys coming in here and actually allowing us to gain your knowledge. As I know, we'll probably talk personally over the next couple of years or for the rest of my career, probably. So that's kind of all we have for today. For everybody that was joining, we covered a lot. If there's any questions on any topic, definitely feel free to reach out. Marketing at Rio SEO is a great resource. We can funnel that through the panelists. We're great friends and collaborators within this space as well. So we can look for answers, any questions you may have, large, big, or small. But then also you're going to have the recording after this as well. So if you didn't get through it, happy to have you, kind of take a deep breath, and we'll do a debrief on it as well. So thank you, everybody, and awesome panel. This was one of my favorite panels that I've done as a moderator. So I really appreciate all three of you. And then once again, thank you from the Rio SEO team, as well as everybody else. This is Tyler Ludwig, and I guess I can say I'm signing up.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.